Mike in Yate. How are you, Michael?
I'm going to say something quite controversial here. I think a lot of the problem is the city hasn't got a proper board that's running the club. We've got basically a couple of people who are making all the decisions, and I think, quite honestly, a lot of the times they're wrong.
So the board is made up of Steve Lansdowne.
And Dawes, isn't it?
Yeah, Keith Daw, yeah.
And that's about it, I think, isn't it? Maybe the executives on their...
Yeah, they've got a few people who I don't know whether they have voting rights or where they are.
Whatever.
So, I mean, at the other end of it, if you say you have a board with like 9 people on it, decision-making can be equally difficult, can't it?
It can be, but at least you're getting a view of different people's opinions, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, quite honestly, I don't think we would have had Keith Millen as manager had there been a proper constituted board. I think probably Johnson wouldn't have got a 5-year contract, and I think there'd been more perhaps thought on what we're doing and where we're going, basically.
Yeah, but if your surname was Lansdowne and your Christian name was Stephen, and you put as much money into the football club as he has done, wouldn't you expect to call the shots? Shouldn't he call the shots? Shouldn't be entitled to call the shots?
Well, yeah, if he's calling the right shots, Jeff. But tell me, how many decisions what he's made in the last 10 years have really been sound?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many decisions he's made, but it's a high risk. It's a high risk industry he's working in, isn't it?
Take the major ones. He got Tinian in. He gave him nobody to help him go along. You had a raw young manager. He had nobody alongside him to actually guide him. And basically, you know, he blew him out. He got Gary Johnson in. Gary Johnson had a good reputation in lower divisions. He done very well for a short period of time. Didn't warrant a 5-year contract.
I mean, let's split that into 2. Gary Johnson got you within 1 game, 1 win of the Premier League, so that you can put that into that context. Yeah, but I would never give any manager a 5-year contract.
Well, no, that's right. So I mean, you know, but I mean, I appreciate that Lansdowne does, you know, put money into the club in a great deal, but I just think we benefit by having a proper constituted board who actually talks out the decisions. Because quite honestly, I was down there Tuesday night. And the people around me, you can see they're drifting away. I mean, you know, when the season tickets go on sale in the next few weeks, I think it's going to be a hell of a surprise how many people's going to renew, because me and my daughter, we're, you know, very, very iffy. And, you know, I've been watching them for years and years and years. But, you know, at the end of the day, you've got a loyal supporter, but come on, you expect some entertainment and something better, because, you know, it's year after year. You've got, all right, we got the Wembley playoff final, and that was quite exciting. But if you look at a spectrum of the last 15 years or so, it's been pretty bland.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you know, some teams have had less success, a few have had more, but I understand the point you're making, and correct me if I'm wrong, I heard it from several sources. After the game on Tuesday, it was obviously, you know, ordered in advance and distributed after the final whistle. Your chance to buy a season ticket for next year. That's probably the last text you want to receive when your team's just been beaten 2-0 at home to Swansea.
Well, that's right. And you know, the trouble is, I mean, I think Million may have to go, basically, to get people to buy a season ticket, because, you know, at the end of the day, the buck stops with the manager. You know, all this about you haven't got the players and whatnot. Well, I'm sorry, if, you know, he's got the players, he's got to manage those players.
No, you're right. The buck does stop with the manager, you know, and any manager worth his salt would admit that. But going back to your original point, I still maintain if you stick in as it's like J.W. Henry at Liverpool now. Mm-hmm. I mean, the money those guys are putting in. I'm not in total favour of autonomy, but I think if you're putting that amount of money in, you deserve to have the lion's share of the say.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as I said to you before, if you're making the right decisions and making the right calls, that's fair enough. But I don't see it down the City Ground. I mean, let's be fair. Look at our academy, and I mean, that's a shining example of the failure of the club. I mean, that has been going now long enough to supply a stream of youngsters for the first team. It's an absolute joke, Jeff, isn't it? You see him come out through, and you hear people say, oh, he's going to be a good one, he's going to be a good one. Gets to the end of their apprenticeship, go into the first day, never see him again, they end up at Cheltenham or whatnot. I mean, you know, I know it's a very hit and miss thing with academies, but I should have thought we would have had a better crop of players than what we're getting. You know, I mean, to me, it's just ridiculous, really. I mean, you know, we're chalking out our £300,000-400,000 a year, keeping it going, and at the end of the day, I can't see the value coming from it. I mean, you know, when you can go and buy this lad from Scunthorpe, Scunthorpe, I don't know what he's like, but I mean, for £400,000, you know, or whatever he costs, £500,000, you know, that's. If he works out, that's good value.
Yeah.
Because you know he's got a pedigree.
I mean, it's a great old debate, academies, and we could talk to midnight and beyond. It's twofold. It's the quality of the player you produce, and it's also the manager of the first team's desire and willingness to buy into the academy system, because they're governed by results, and some managers don't put youngsters in because they've got a fear of them not producing results with youngsters in their team. That's not my opinion. I'm just talking about what they do.
I agree with you up to a point, but there again, if you look at the players what's come out of the City Academy, and Johnson's accused of not using the players, how many of them players have gone on to do really great things?
Well, there aren't many, are there? I'm writing down Dave Cottle's name. I'm writing down Cole Scouse.
But I mean, you know, that's a pretty... You know, I mean, the Ribeiro. I mean,
Ribeiro, Danny Coles, Matt Hill. They've come through the academy system and have got into the first team.
Yeah, but I mean, where are they now? You know, they're, you know, lingering in sort of lower or the mid leagues, aren't they? But you know, I still think that for our academy, it's just been a total disaster, really.
No, I think you're overstating an opinion. I think a total disaster is an overstatement. My own view is there should have been more players going through to the first team. And
I'll tell you one of the reasons why that didn't happen, and the academy players don't make that final step up, is because we haven't got a strong reserve league around this area. And I often said that City would be better trying to join one of the Birmingham leagues or the football combination leagues around London and just play all their matches up in London, hire a pitch up there and just play all the games up there.
Yeah, could work. Good at all, Mike. All right, mate, got to move on. Thanks for calling. That's Mike in Yate.